What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and I wanted to go over a couple things about Star Wars animated series run by Dave Filoni and some news we have on that front, including some confirmed things about Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7 and some rumored things about a possible Star Wars Rebels sequel or spin-off. So let's get to the confirmed stuff first. We'll talk about the rumors later. So Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7 gets official release date. And if you've heard me talk about Clone Wars and Rebels before, you know I'm pretty mixed on those, but there are tons of people that are extremely passionate about both the Clone Wars and Rebels. People that are really looking forward to this news. Maybe even more so than anything Star Wars that we've had over the past several years. So let's get to it. The 7th and final season of Star Wars The Clone Wars, well, maybe final season, I've heard rumors of possible Season 8, is coming very soon to a galaxy near you. While we previously found out Season 7 would arrive on the Disney Plus streaming service in February, we now have an exact release date. Per a new promotional video shared to Disney's official website, Clone Wars Season 7 will premiere on Monday, February 17th. And from what I've heard, they do plan to do the weekly releases on Disney Plus, just like they did with The Mandalorian, to really string out that content as long as I can, which I think is a good business idea. Maybe not what fans want, but it's a good business idea, I think. At least to me, it makes sense anyway. Spinning out of the theatrically released animated film of the same name, Star Wars The Clone Wars first premiered on Cartoon Network in 2008, running for 5 seasons. A 6th season dubbed The Lost Missions then dropped on Netflix in 2014. Even so, fans of the critically acclaimed Star Wars animated series lamented the lack of a proper conclusion and began campaigning for a revival. Hashtag Save Clone Wars or Clone Wars Saved, all that stuff that was going on. And this is that video they're talking about. You see Ahsoka in the return. Everyone's really excited to see Ahsoka again, of course. Fans calling for a return of the Clone Wars got their wish at Comic-Con International San Diego in 2018 when Lucasfilm revealed the series would be revived for 12 episodes 7th season on Disney+. Now, roughly a year and a half later, we know exactly when it will happen. So yeah, that is the Clone Wars news. So a lot of people are going to be tuning in on Monday, February 17th. Now, to the more rumor side of the house for another animated series run by Dave Filoni. Star Wars Rebels sequel reportedly in the works. Now, I've seen a couple like 4chan posts and things like that of people talking about a sequel to Star Wars Rebels run by Dave Filoni. Didn't appear super credible. I think I talked about it maybe in one video briefly, just like briefly swept aside it a couple days ago, but didn't really get into this portion of it. But it's gathering more steam. So Star Wars Rebels has been a big topic of conversation ever since Disney Plus was announced. Now, First Order Transmissions is reporting that the series is slated to be coming sometime this year. The report also mentions Dave Filoni being involved with the project in some capacity. It's a good time to be a fan of Ahsoka Tano, as she got a bit of spotlighting during Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. You mean her voice was there for like one sentence? Is that what you mean by spotlighting? I suppose. Now, it looks like the story of her journey with Sabine is on deck for the streaming platform. In the past, Filoni was adamant that it would be a tough sell to give up on the characters that he spent so much time with. In his role with the Star Wars franchise, he must be thrilled that some of his creations got called up to the movies during The Rise of Skywalker. He told comicbook.com about the prospect of other storytellers getting a chance to mold adventures with characters like Ahsoka and Sabine. That would be hard. That would be, to be honest, that would be really hard for me to do at this point, just because I've been part of it for so long, since especially Ahsoka's beginning, Filoni shared. I can't imagine not being involved in some way with what would happen to her, or Sabine for that matter. Now, there's something interesting too that I talked about in a previous video. This article, or this post that Dave Filoni had on Christmas, after The Rise of Skywalker, and, I guess spoilers for The Rise of Skywalker, but you hear Ahsoka's voice at the end talking to Rey, and the presumption is that she is dead. Obviously, because in order to become a Force ghost or a Force spirit or whatever the hell, I don't even know how they're trying to explain it, but to hear that voice, you would have to assume that she is dead. Now, he posted this picture of Gandalf talking to Ahsoka, saying, "People thought I was dead too. Look how that turned out." And at the time, I said, does this mean that she's actually not dead in The Rise of Skywalker? Or does it just mean that she's going to be used in future projects coming up? And I mentioned the Clone Wars. Well, the Clone Wars is obviously already out and coming out, so that wouldn't really be any kind of surprise or anything. But, if we're talking about a new Star Wars Rebels series featuring Ahsoka. Maybe that is what Dave Filoni was talking about in reference to that. Maybe that means because her story is not dead yet, it's still going. Maybe I'm looking too much into that, but it seems strange to me that Filoni did decide to post that. I talked about it earlier, so maybe that's where this is coming from. There's still some pockets unaccounted for, and Star Wars Resistance is looking to fill in those gaps along the course of its run. Nobody's watching Star Wars Resistance, just saying. And they talk about maybe the 2 Jedi heroes will make an appearance while they look for Ezra. Okay. Filoni remained coy. I feel a responsibility to know and start to figure out what that story is because the fans seem really interested in it, as I'm interested in it. Whether it actually ever happens, I don't know yet, but I still think about it anyway. I think of all kinds stories, and some of them happen to find their way into a release and some don't. I think it's important to know the story, especially because they're often creatives and other people that come up will ask questions to me, the same as you. Wow, well, what happened there? And so I like to know, and I'm kind of protective of certain character groups, so I feel responsibility to know, well, here's what happened. So that's just Filoni talking about his characters and how he feels about those characters. So those are the rumors. Obviously, we do know the date for the Clone Wars. A lot of people really excited about that. If there is a Rebels sequel in the works, listen, if it involves Ahsoka, I think a lot of people will be interested because there's so many Ahsoka fanboys and fangirls out there. If it's just about Sabine and Ezra or, the rest of anybody else in Rebels, I don't think anyone really cared too much about that. Personally, for the most part, what I cared about, if anything, while watching Rebels was characters that I was attached to from the Clone Wars, not so much the Rebels characters, if you catch my drift, if that makes any sense. Now, some people are really attached to, got attached to Ezra, Kanan, the crew of the Ghost, all those guys. For the most part, for me, those weren't really the interesting parts of Rebels. It was the parts involving Ahsoka, involving Maul, involving Obi-Wan, involving Rex, things like that. So just kind of my take on it. It is a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt, but I can see it happening because they do need more stuff to fill out their Star Wars on Disney+. So who knows when that's happening, if that's just a rumor or if there's any truth to it at all. But I want to get you guys feedback. Would you be interested in a sequel to Rebels Season 5, whatever they want to call it? And are you looking forward to the Clone Wars releasing on Disney Plus on February 17th? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.